Hello, and welcome back to another Pen Talk. Thank you very much for tuning in, spinning that dial to the ChrisRap52 channel, and listening to Pen Talk as I explore the amazing, incredible, wonderful wide world of pens. And you see a worthy pen rotating on a turntable, being held up by a crab, and grabbing the attention of all my pen friends watching this pen rotate. I love the yellow color. I love the black accent trim. It's a metal pen. It's a hooded nib pen. Sit back and watch me explore this pen. Talk about color a little bit. I've been into that recently. And also talk about JG3's review, which I really enjoyed, and there's a link in the video description. So Mr. Crab is going to give you a winky wink, and we're going to dive in. The pen came in this padded envelope with some bubble wrap inside, and of course the pen was in this cellophane sleeve, slides out easily. Good sounding cellophane. I like the tag here on the clip. Very good identification and very easy to remove and hold for future use. So the first thing you notice about the pen is it feels good. There's nice weight to it. You know, just has a quality feel. Pull off the cap. It feels as good as those Pilot E95s that people rave about. And we'll see a hooded nib, nice long section, classic design. I like the yellow and black combinations. And yes, at the top of the cap we have the Hongdian finial, which is usually engraved. And if we unscrew the barrel, it feels good because there's a nice rubber O-ring there. And we'll see the typical Hongdian screw converter. Fits very, very, very securely. Yes, very securely. And if we look at the barrel, we'll see there's that brass. There is a plastic insert, so we have plastic on plastic threads. Somebody thought this pen was made out of plastic, but no, it's definitely brass. I think the section here is all plastic. You may ask, why do you think it's all metal? Well, just listen to the sound as it pulls down onto my desk table. Definitely a metal sound. The cap and barrel are brass with a very, very nice enamel coating. Very yellow, and I love the black trim. So pulling out the converter was not something I was able to do over the camera. And we'll see a spring in there, which I will remove. But I really like the fact that the converter fits very well. And as JG3 mentioned, that's not a standard international opening there. It's larger than that. So you're going to have to use the Chinese version for converters and cartridges. So obviously I had to pick an ink that I haven't used for a while. So this is a Pen BBS ink I got last year sometime. As you can see, I put the generic color up here on top. This is number 435. Comes in this very interesting, unique, faceted bottle. As you can see, it is in the green family. And it's cedrus, which looks like some kind of evergreen type of tree. There's some pine cones there. And it is in the dark green family, which I thought would work well in the fine nib. It's kind of like a dusty matte green. I don't know, there's maybe some other color in there. I don't know what it is. Maybe you can tell me. So I'd say this fine nib is more in the extra fine category as far as the line it lays down. This ink is fairly dry, so that's fairly wet for this style of nib. It's a consistent line. You're going to get no flex, no line variation, but it's a hooded nib. And I do agree with JG3 that a bobby nib would certainly change this writing experience quite a bit, but I'm not in the mood to swap nibs. I do need a fine nib like this, and I wanted one with a nice green ink in it, and that I accomplished. So why did Hongdian choose C1 to designate this model? No clue. Here's what Moonman Mahjong calls their C1. It's totally different pen, but now when somebody says I have a C1, you gotta ask them, is it Hongdian or Mahjong? It's not a pen with a lot of parts. The converter comes apart because this metal collar just pulls off. It's a friction fit. So I'll remove the spring and I'll put some silicone grease on the threads and on the piston seal there, so it will have a very, very long life. We're going to take a look inside the cap to show you that plastic liner that seals so well against the section and makes it feel good capping and uncapping. So the room is about as dark as it's going to get, and the yellow still stays pretty yellow. So we'll bring on our trusty LED and look inside the cap. We'll see those fingers that clutch that section, and then we'll see a full plastic liner there at the top of the cap. As we mentioned, this pen is made out of metal, but there's a nice plastic liner there, and it does feel very good in operation. So you may ask, how do you flush out a pen like this? Well, we take our bulb syringe, which I've had for many, many years. It fits nice and snugly. That section, we put it in our soapy water. Drop some soapy water through the nib, the feed, just purging it of any particular remnants that might be left over from manufacturing. And then we squeeze it out. It's a decent flow. You don't expect a lot of flow out of these hooded nibs, but I'll do a final rinse with clear water and we'll be ready for inking. So you may ask what other yellow pens that I have. So I've assembled a good many of them here. So here's the Hongdian one, which is, to me, as yellow as they get. It's that nice Russian pen. It's an American hand-turned pen, a Nemosine Singularity, which is pretty yellow too. And Shinhao 159. This is a pokey pen. Here's that lemon cookie from Pen BBS, and here's another little flavor. There's just natural sunlight coming in, a little bit diffused natural sunlight. So we're going to look here to see how sunlight playing across these colors influences them a little bit, but not much. You know, I enjoy my colors, even though my eyes may not be the best at seeing them. So we're going to add some light. And see how the colors change for you. And then, of course, we need to bring in the color wheel so we can see yellow and various forms of yellow. And I'd say the Hongdian one and the Nemosine one are all pretty good in yellow. So is the Pen BBS Lemon Cookie. But there's also some shades of orange here. But it's an interesting color. I'm glad I got my C1 in yellow with black trim. So now's time for some editorial comments. I'll show you the dimensions. And we'll do a final writing sample. So I have to agree totally. This is a very, very well-made pen. Classic in its design, shape, and function. Nothing wrong with that, because it does all of those things very, very well. It's a good feel to it. It doesn't really feel like metal. That coating that they put on here is just excellent. And I love the black trim. Nice pop-off cap. And I haven't talked about it, but you probably expected. It posts very deep, very secure, feels great in the hand. The balance is perfect. Posted. This is about the best pen posted that I've used in a long time, and that's saying a lot. But it works fine unposted for me, and that section has the distinct advantage of letting you hold it anywhere that you want. If you want to go real close to the nib, you can, because a hooded nib affords you that. If we had a nice big number 8, you'd be holding the nib if you were this close. But you can move your fingers around. So one of the challenges are when you start writing with this pen is keeping the nib oriented correctly. That's why I like the Parker 61 and some of the other models like Hero have an arrow here or some type of mark to show you the top of the nib. But for the price of this pen, you're not going to get that. And this pen is incredibly inexpensive. I paid like under $7 for it delivered on eBay. I checked AliExpress, and it's actually more expensive on AliExpress by a fair bit. Here's some examples. And they're putting shipping costs now on a lot of items. So you got to be careful when you buy on AliExpress to take into account the cost of shipping and the total cost of your purchase. I haven't found it on Amazon, which I was surprised, because LT Hongdian does have a store on Amazon, but this pen hasn't made their Amazon store yet. So, all in all, you can't go wrong with this pen. The only downside, some people hate hooded nibs. I happen to enjoy them. They have their purpose. This is a great everyday carry. I expect that nib to be ready to write on a moment's notice every time you uncap it. And that has an advantage to it, and it's one of the main advantages of hooded nibs. Also very consistent line, very consistent ink flow. That's what a pen is good for. So you may have heard there's a little bit of feedback here with the nib. Again, feedback doesn't bother me. Some people might consider that scratchy, but I just put that into the fact that their experience with nibs is not as advanced as some other people might be. But if you don't want any feeling from a nib, not a nib for you. If you want super smooth, not a nib for you. But if you need a nice, fine, extra fine nib, this is a nib for you. Nice everyday carry. Say no more. I want to thank everyone for watching. I hope this video finds all of you safe, healthy, and happy, enjoying your pens, exploring the amazing wide world of pens. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get a lot of enjoyment and value, and that's what's one of the things that's great about the hobby and pen collecting in general. So we've reached the end of this video, and we will say bye. Pen's always ready to write, and write well.